Located on the site of York Castle is York Castle Museum. Join us now as we take a look around. York Castle, which is now the museum, was originally built by William the Conqueror in 1068. The museum itself was founded by John L. Kirk in 1938 and is housed in prison buildings which were built on the site of the castle in the 18th century. The museum consists of several individual structures located to the immediate south of Clifford's Tower, within the former Castle Bailey. It is surrounded by part of the York Castle Wall on its southern side, and beyond that the River Foss. In 1969, a gallery was built to link the museum in the female prison with the debtors' prison. It was in 1931 that John Kirk, a physician and amateur archaeologist based in Pickering, North Yorkshire, advertised for expression of interest from sites who wished to house his large collection of objects relating to the social study of history. Although he received responses from sites in Middlesbrough, Wakefield, Batley, Doncaster and York, it was the latter which was ultimately successful. The female prison was brought by the City of York Corporation in 1934 and modified to house the Kirk collection of bygones, opening as the Castle Museum on the 23rd of April 1938. A major attraction of this new museum was a recreation of a late Victorian street named Kirkgate. This was the first of its kind in Britain. Kirkgate was originally designed by and named after Dr. Kirk, the museum's founder. It is the oldest recreated street display in a UK museum. This Victorian district explores what life was like for people in York between 1870 and 1901. Many of the objects you see are original, as are most of the shop fronts. The displays uncover the stories of real people who lived and worked in the city. In 2012, the Kirkgate Street was redeveloped to reflect a broader view of Victorian society, including back alleys and a slum dwelling. Violet Rogers started as deputy curator in 1938. Kirk died in 1940, and Rogers ran the museum, which remained open during the Second World War. During this time, she expanded the education offer and developed an interactive approach to the collections by allowing visitors to handle objects. She left the museum in 1947 when she emigrated to Poland. Period rooms show how people lived at home between the 1600s and the 1870s. What we're looking at now is the Victorian parlour of 1870s. The moorland cottage is arranged as a home of a working family living in the Yorkshire countryside in the 1850s. Here the family would eat, sleep, play and work. This elegant drawing room belonged to a fashionable family during the 1780s. This room is arranged as a dining room of a wealthy farming family of the 1600s. The heavy beams, oak panels and wide fireplace are typical of the time. The wood was originally much lighter, but has darkened with age. This next section of the museum focuses on World War I and tells the stories of ordinary people who suffered the effects of war. This exhibit houses many artefacts from the war, giving you a sense of how difficult life was at the time. Life was grim and discipline strict in the trenches. The drudgery and discomfort of everyday life, combined with the constant danger of shelling, snipers and gas attacks, made living conditions miserable. Many soldiers developed trench foot, and infestations of lice caused disease such as trench fever, an illness with flu-like symptoms. The next part of the museum moves to the 60s, a decade when the country finally moved out of the shadow of post-war austerity and embraced new developments in science, technology and media. During the 60s, people had more money to spend on luxuries and customer goods, such as household appliances. Fashion became much more affordable through mass production. The TV brought events from across the world into people's living rooms, such as the World Cup, the moon landings, the Vietnam War, and the assassination of President Kennedy. Criminals, women, children, soldiers, and even innocent civilians were locked up within York Castle's walls between 1705 and 1929. Their accounts reveal the insanitary, dangerous and corrupt ways of prison life. The most famous of prisoners to be jailed here was the infamous highwayman Dick Turpin, who was held in this cell. Life could be made comfortable for a price, with food, drink and luxuries sold by the prison turnkey at inflated rates. The ground floor cells housed those who committed the most serious crimes, such as coin clipping, arson, horse stealing, murder and highway robbery. The condemned cell was the day room for prisoners awaiting execution. In the early 19th century it was called the Pompey Parlour, though it is unclear as to why it was called that. York Castle Museum is a must visit when in York. It has so much more to see than what I have showed in this video. You can easily spend hours exploring the different periods in time, and it truly makes you feel as though you have time travelled.